frenemy, enemy. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. Frenemy, enemy. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. Frenemy, enemy. All these neck just wanna be a mini me.
Hey guys, ArchieLuxury on the ArchieLuxury and the Paul Pluta channels. Guys, I got some terrible news. Terrible news. Let me tell you what has happened. Firstly, let's do a quick wristwatch check. I'm wearing Rolex Submariner. I love my Submariner. Thank you, MJT. Guys, let me tell you what has just happened. Let me tell you indeed. What's happened is Rolex and luxury watches and Border Force. Border Force are the people who administer customs and duty at the point of entry. Now, in the past, some really sneaky fookers have shipped items saying this watch is being returned to original owner after service or repair. And they've done this in the hope that they can avoid. They've done it because they don't want to pay the tax. The tax man. Anyhow, let me tell you what's happening now. Border Force, Australian Customs, have twigged onto this. And I was talking to a collector, and he's told me that a number of people have been caught. So basically, watches are being sent in, and Border Force has come back to these people and said, what proof have you that you actually sent it to America or any other country where this parcel's coming from? What proof have you got? Because if you don't have any proof, how do we know you're not lying? So it's a pretty difficult situation. In the past, some dealers, and I'm not a dealer, I am strictly an enthusiast. I don't want to buy and sell. I don't want to do that stuff. Dealers have sent items, one returned watch being returned after repair or service. And that's usually snuck through. Well, unfortunately, you know, all that money that ScoMo gave out with COVID, you know, the JobKeeper, you know, that $5 million that went to Mercedes-Benz, who've had a fantastic year, but still pocketed millions of dollars. Was it 5 or 2 million? I can't remember. Well, somebody's actually got to pay for that. So they're going to get the little guy by clamping the rules. And I got to tell you guys, it is a very nasty situation. Very nasty. And this is what happens. For example, let me tell you this. When my good friend sent me this Submariner, he'd already paid. This came from Europe. He already paid taxes and duty in that home country. And then when he sent it to Australia, guess what? It's liable for taxes and duties again. See, this wristwatch, if it keeps going around the world, it could attract duties and excise to every port it goes through. You see? And that's what is really quite unfair, because the guy paid the taxes in Europe, then he sent it to Australia, and I got landed with taxes at my end, which I paid was about $1,500 on this thing. And if I then say I sold this to America, there'd be taxes when it arrived, and say they sold it to another Australian, send it back to Australia. Well, they'd pay taxes coming into Australia again because none of those guys would have my paperwork. And these things can be taxed in perpetuity. And I got to tell you, it's pretty disappointing because I was a big supporter of global trade, globalization, where you had free trade between countries, barriers were lowered, free ports of entry, you know, all that cool shite. Well, apparently the rules don't apply to small little people. That applies to big business like Toyota and Honda and big concerns. With the small guy, no. These may be second-hand goods, but he needs to pay tax again and again and again and again. And believe you me, on sports Rolex, the margin is often single digit, under 10%. The taxman is earning more than dealers on pieces. Can you believe it? I kid you not. And I got to tell you, I'm really in favor of free trade for all countries. If you're sending an item in, why does tax need to be paid on it? But if you want to get things in, you got to pay the tax, Charlie. You got to pay the piper. And that's one of the reasons I prefer to deal with a dealer in my home country, because the tax implications are a lot simpler. It gets really tricky in Australia because technically, if you were going overseas, you could buy, say, a $20,000 watch. You could get the GST refunded, provided you bought it from a dealer within 30, I think it was 30 days or 55 days. I can't remember the exact, but it's 30 to 50 days. Provided you bought it from a dealer within a certain period of time, you could actually claim all the tax back and take it out of the country. You'd still have implications at the other end you were going to, but yeah. So I got to tell you, it's very, very tricky. And I kind of think secondhand, it's a very tricky thing because what's happened is the goods and services tax, VAT, they want to tax things in perpetuity, not just when it's new and beautiful, but when it's secondhand and pre-owned, it's getting taxed every time it goes into a new port. And I got to tell you, Australian Border Force, some people are doing a few little sneaky things. Well, those days are over. Those days are over because Border Force is saying we want proof that you bought it or have already paid the taxes originally in your country. So this is a major fight up, a major situation. I got to tell you, that's why I don't like to buy and sell. I've basically built my collection. I might sell a piece, like I've got a Pepsi coming. See, I'll be paying tax when the Pepsi comes in. And I might get rid of the Tudor. I'd prefer to sell it within Australia because then there's no tax implications. If I make a profit, of course, I'd need to pay capital gains tax. If you have had that tuna for more than 12 months, I would only pay tax on 50% of the profits. But in that case there, I got that a couple months ago. So it's not 12 months. So I'd have to pay capital gains tax. So if I made anything, it'd just go on top of my income. I'd be taxed at the nominal rate that I'm at. Now, if I lost money, of course, I could actually write off the loss against other capital gains I may have had in that year. It's a tricky situation. So I've got to tell you, sometimes importing things from overseas, getting them in can be tricky. And if they want proof, that if you did actually source it in Australia or tax has been paid, that can be a little bit tricky. I mean, who keeps all this paperwork and receipts and that? If you're just a hobbyist or you bought it secondhand from a mate, it's very, very tricky. So, guys, I just wanted to fill you in. This is what's happening in Australia. That free money ScoMo gave out, wow, it wasn't quite free. So, yeah, that's the situation. It's pretty tricky, guys. So if you've heard anything else, put some comments below, let me know. And guys, you don't want to get in trouble with the tax man. That is one guy you don't want to be in trouble with. And I gotta be honest with you, I like to buy mainly from dealers in my own country for those reasons, and I prefer to sell within my own country for those reasons. And I mean, personally, I don't think you should have taxes on secondhand goods, but hey, if you don't like the law, go out and change it. Hey, well, I can't be bothered. I just stay with what I've got. Okay, guys, I will see you in the next one. ArchieLuxury signing out. Love yous all. See you in the next one. Hi, guys, ArchieLuxury. And who do I recommend in America? In America, who do I recommend for quality pre-owned wristwatches? David SW, David SW, David SW. Go to davidsw.com. He is the best, the greatest pre-owned dealer in all of the United States of America. David SW, David SW, David SW. Like, subscribe, and tell your friends, and don't be afraid to get a paid review. $50 for a paid review. It helps me stay full-time on YouTube, and I will see you in the next one. $50 paid review. I can't survive on Google Ads. I need your support. And guys, you could also sponsor me on Patreon. Patreon allows you to pay as little as $1 a month to keep me on YouTube. Hey guys, ArchieLuxury. Who do I recommend for watches in Brisbane and Sydney? Vintage Watch Co. That's correct. Vintage Watch Co. in Brisbane Arcade in Brisbane and the Strand Arcade in Sydney. Vintage Watch Co. Brisbane and Sydney. Ronnie, I've known him since the late 90s. Ronnie is a top bloke. Luke is a great guy. Vintage Watch Co. That is who I recommend in Australia. Check out Vintage Watch Co. and the guys' amazing range of watches. They also do service and repairs. Vintage Watch Co. That is where the pontiff goes. You know, some of my Pateks came from Vintage Watch Co. That's right, guys. Vintage Watch Co.